Anytime you want.
Yeah, kick it off. Kick it off.
A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone present here today. A very warm welcome to Old Passion Singapore, Malaysia Global. My name is Jeannie Tan, your host today. Old Passion was formed in November 2020 and run by a group of dedicated host team members. We had our first trial webinar on the 23rd of September 2021, and our first public webinar was on the 30th of September 2021 under the mentorship of Dr. Bill Williams. We meet on every Thursday. The mission of Old Passion is to ignite passion for humanity, to nurture a mindset and leadership for passion and Oblast, and to form passion groups for good causes. And today we have Brother Jeffrey with us, and he needs no introduction, but he will be sharing with us about his book, and it will be on chapter 1 today. But before we move on to that, I would like Brother Kumaran to play the next segment before I do a short intro of Brother Jeffrey before we moved on, before I pass the platform to him. Thank you. No sound, Brother Kumaran.
Look at that, he's still loading, perhaps. There we go. Done.
We are in Singapore. We'll make a show of it. Yeah.
Bangladesh.
Yeah, indeed.
See you at the top.
See you at the top. Thank you, Dr. Bill. Appreciate you.
We've been drifting down the river, letting others guide the way, losing sight of what we're made for in the noise of what they say. But there's a spark in every heart where your dreams are meant to grow. Take a step to claim your story, put your inner light aglow. Set a goal, make it yours. Watch your spirit start to soar. Feel the fire in your soul, take control. Behold, let's live on purpose of every choice we make. Forgive those burdens for all our hearts' sake. With kindness we're paving a road towards true. On purpose, let's walk through this life with a view. We've held grudges like they're anchors, keeping us in heavy chains. Every memory stirs the thunder, every scar replays the pain. But you can write a letter to the past, let it go into the breeze. Find your peace in sweet surrender, set your heart and mind at ease. Let it fade, let it heal. Find the calm in what you feel. Trust gentle way, free yourself, be brave. Let's live on purpose with every choice we make. Forgive those burdens for all our hearts' sake. With kindness we're paving a road towards truth. this life with a view. Every smile you share, every hand you hold, lights a fire in this world, makes our spirits bold. Success ain't just a crown, it's the love we give. In the bonds we build, that's the way to live. So reach out to one another with a word, a gentle deed. Every act of care we offer plants a tiny hopeful seed. We lift each other higher, happiness our sweet reward. In the joy of giving freely, we're connected, we're restored. Let's live on purpose with every choice we make. Forgive those burdens for all our hearts' sake. With kindness we're paving our road towards true. On purpose, let's walk through this life with a view. So choose your path with courage, let those grudges fade away. Spread compassion like a river every moment, every day. On purpose we're rising, our hearts alive and new. Together let's live out this life with you.
Thank you, Brother Kumaran. Thank you, Brother Kumaran. All right, and now I shall share a little bit about Brother Jeffrey and what Brother Jeffrey. Thank you very much for coming here today again to share with us. So today, Brother Jeffrey is going to share with us the chapters of his book, and he's going to be sharing on chapter 1. His book title is To Change Your World, Change Your Thoughts. And we shall be hearing from him today, later when he shares. So he says here, why we read this book. Why do we have to read this book? Because to change the world, change your thoughts is a practical, inspiring guide for anyone seeking to transform their life. Its accessibility exercises, compelling stories, and evidence-based insights made it a powerful tool to manifest dreams, offering a holistic approach to personal growth. And the book outline creates your reality. Start today with a vision, compassion, acts, and gratitude. So today we have Brother Jeffrey, and he's going to be sharing with us on chapter 1. Over to you, Brother Jeffrey. And the summary is already posted. You may take a look while Brother Jeffrey is sharing so that you can, go through the thoughts of what he's sharing, and you can do a little bit on your own while he's sharing. Thank you. Over to you, Brother Jeffrey.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate being here. I'm thinking if we have even just one or two people that really take advantage of this, then it's all going to be worthwhile. Besides, I enjoy talking, you know me. Today, yep. Thank you so much for the introduction there, Jeannie. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the work you guys do here, Kumaran, John. I mean, all of you folks, and the fact that you'll put this up for others to see later. Today's session, we're going to be talking about the foundation of thought. A lot of times, I wonder how many of us here believe that a single thought can even change our lives, right? When we come across a thought like that, oftentimes we'll call it an epiphany or that aha moment, where it kind of really throws everything that you thought or everything that you believed was true into a tizzy where it kind of reforms into a new thought and a new belief. Years ago, I remember thinking, if I wanted to know about something and I had questions that I wanted to get answered, it would seem to me like I couldn't be the only one in the planet of 8 billion people or 7 billion people. Somebody else had probably the same questions and needed to know the same information. But what I didn't believe was that what I thought and had to say actually mattered enough that and somebody would want to listen to that. What happens is we start out thinking these things and our ego kicks in and gives us a lot of doubt. I mean, it'll tell you to stop. It'll say, hey, you're not good enough. You know, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter, you know, how you feel. It's just you, and nobody else is interested in that. Well, doing this or doing that, the reason it tries to stop us, and this isn't the ego, is it takes us into unfamiliar, into the unknown, and the unknown, which is unfamiliar, and everybody knows that going into the unfamiliar, something unfamiliar, it's a little scary, right? It's not safe. And the whole job of the ego is to keep us safe. So when it sees you trying to do something that you haven't done before, it's going to go, whoa, you can't do that. And it's going to give you 1,000 reasons why not. And I remember thinking to myself, who am I to think that anybody wants to hear anything that I've got to say about anything? You know, I mean, the truth is, I did not believe that anybody would, and that's kind of where the rubber meets the road today, as far as what we're talking about. But that's the reason why I never really did much of anything in life, is because I thought, oh, it's just me, and I'm just taking care of me, and nobody else cares about what's going on with me. But that's not the case, because we're all connected. But anyway, I never did a whole lot of anything, and it wasn't that my questions or even the answers didn't matter. It was simply that I didn't believe they mattered. Now, eventually, I had what I call an aha moment, or some folks would call an epiphany, in that, namely, that what I learned, what I found out, and my aha moment was that there's nothing special about beliefs that make them solid, that make them concrete and immovable, right? A belief is just a conviction that we have that something is true, or a mental state, uh, maybe just having an opinion or a particular stance on the subject that we believe in, right? It doesn't mean it's true. It's just something that we've taken into ourselves and we consider it true and we operate on that. It's an attitude about the world, an internal interpretation, if you will, but it's not necessarily based on external evidence. And more than that, believing something doesn't make it true, right? Not that truth in that sense matters, because there's a lot of true things that I really don't want to experience, okay? But regardless, the whole point here is a belief is just a thought that you think over and over again. Now, more than that, better than that, we can get rid of beliefs. We can change them. Now, obviously, we want to keep the good ones, the ones that benefit us, right? But to let go of unhelpful or limiting beliefs, we've got to start with a self-awareness and have a willingness to change. And if we're already at that point, which some of us probably here are, we're at a point where, you know what, there's some things in my life I'd like to change. I'm not on the path. I'm not doing the success that I'd like to get at some point. So I need to make or start making some changes. Now, when we start looking at the changes that we actually want to make, the point that we want to start at is, what are we believing? We need to kind of look at getting rid of some of the things that are holding us back, and this comes to us in the form of what we believe. Now, if we think about where these beliefs came from, you know, I mean, I've said before that a lot of our, if I can use the word, programming, comes to us from the age of, 1 to like 8, where we're in this theta state, right? So you say, where did I even learn this belief or this idea that I've got in my head that I'm using for life? Where did it come from? Did it come from a book? Did it come from my family? Maybe it came from an experience I had that kind of really imprinted on me and changed the way I do things. I mean, it really doesn't matter where it came from, but it's good to have that context, right? But once you figure out what that belief is, next thing we do is just challenge it. Stand up and kind of get all in its face, if you will, by saying, hey, is there real evidence to support this? Or is this something that's based on assumptions and there are no backing to it at all? There's nothing concrete that I can point to and say, yeah, this is evidence that this is true and this affects me the way that I think it does. Now, if it's a particularly stubborn belief, and I've had a few of those, we need to find out what other viewpoints are there, right? And we do this by reading, we do this by talking to people with different perspectives. And once we're really ready to say, sayonara or adios to this particular belief, we start to act in ways that go against that belief, that go against what we're believing and the thought that leads us into it. And we do this, for instance, if by speaking up, if you're believing that you don't matter and nobody wants to hear you, start speaking up, start going against what it is that you believe, because action is the language of the body. And as we have new experiences, we are able to replace the old belief with the one that's more suited to the reality that we're creating. In my case, the old belief was nobody wants to hear what I think, and nobody cares what I have to say. The new belief for me was there's a whole lot of people that feel the same way I do about some of these things, and a lot of them would love to hear what I've got to say and see what my perspective is on it. Now, but getting there for me, like a lot of us here probably, took a while. So, I mean, be patient. Changing beliefs usually takes some time. There's exceptions, like we talked about a moment ago, the aha moment or the epiphany, where you have a thought that just really shakes your whole world and turns you on to something new. And as a result, it affects your behavior. So here we are, right? Hasn't been easy. We've all had hits along the way, misses along the way. But the point is, I know I started out, a lot of you have. We haven't given up. And I know that this works. As a result, I've got several books out, more ideas for books than I've actually got room or time to think about. But right now, we're thinking about the thoughts and beliefs. And I'm thinking your thoughts are the seeds to your reality, just like mine are for me. Like a gardener, you and I can choose the soil, if you will, and we can choose which seeds that we want to plant. Now, to open that up a little bit, if we talk about the parable of the sower, which is a biblical verse where Jesus talks about the profound importance of the condition of the heart or mind, because this is where it's all that's as I'm saying, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? And the condition of the heart or the mind in this instance is compared to soil when planting seeds of thoughts or ideas of beliefs. And the parable teaches us how important it is to have a ready heart or mind. It's likened unto fertile soil when planting new ideas and beliefs, which you can think of as seeds. And just as a farmer needs to have good soil to grow a healthy crop, our inner world needs to be open and prepared for new thoughts to take root and to grow. Now, a fertile heart or mind is one that's open, is curious, it's free from distractions, it's ready to nurture positive ideas into meaningful change, like greater understanding or personal growth that we're looking for. In the parable, there's different soils talked about, and it talks about what can happen to seeds, like hard soil. That's like a closed off mind, right? It lets ideas get blown away before they can even get rooted and grow. Could be stubbornness, could be fear or doubt, right? There's rocky soil. That's like a shallow heart, not much depth in it. It might accept, or we may accept a new idea, but it quickly kind of dissipates and goes away, because when something pops up to challenge it, it just can't stand it, There's thorny soil, which is the equivalent of having a lot of weeds around and things that choke out other things. And that's kind of like a mind that's crowded with worries and distractions, and it chokes out the good thoughts and it just doesn't let them be nurtured. But the good, fertile soil we're talking about, the rich and clear, the rich, good soil is clear of these kinds of obstacles. It allows our thoughts to take root and to grow strong and produce good fruit, sometimes even a very bountiful harvest. And this kind of soil, metaphorically at least, comes from being humble, being open to learning, and being willing to clear out the negative thoughts that we're talking about, trying to get rid of. It matters because this type of fertile mind helps us determine whether or not the ideas are actually going to live or thrive, even, right? A kind thought, like believing in yourself, can grow into confidence if it's planted, in a heart that's full of hope. But if it's placed into a heart full of doubt, equated with rocky soil, it's not going to last long because it can't take root and it's getting beat up by other thoughts in your head. Now, to make our hearts and minds fertile, we just have to pull out the weeds of doubt and negativity, make sure they're out of there, soften hard attitudes, if you will, and feed ourselves with truth and love, which obviously we could probably talk a long time about that. But in short, the parable is showing us that by preparing our inner mental soil, if you will, we can help good ideas grow into actions and habits that make our lives a lot better. Now, we start by thinking about the power of the single thought, which is where we actually started this whole thing. I guess I went around my elbow to get to my thumb, because every reality starts with a thought. Now, a fleeting idea like I can make a light bulb, like Edison, or a bomb like somebody else, right? Or maybe I'll stand for justice, or maybe I'll go steal a candy bar. Every thought that we have brings about choices, and our choices lead us to actions, and those actions to outcomes. Now, this is the foundation of a looping cycle that we'll explore, I think, probably next month in session 4 or 5. But the loop starts with a thought and it ends with a thought, and the process of creating our reality is found in the middle of that. And that's where we spend most of the time. Now, neuroscience shows us that our brain rewires with every thought that we have by forming neural pathways that shape our perception. And this is all coming from Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, that he published back in 2017. And when we think things like I'm a failure, our brain filters for failure. It looks for ways for us to fail. I know that sounds weird, right? On the other side of that, if we think things like I'm capable and I'm able, then our brain uses a different filter and it screens to give us opportunities that will reflect our capability. You may recall Proverbs 23:7, where it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That to me has always been a very, very powerful thing to reflect on. Thomas Edison, too, incidentally, I love that because it is kind of universal. That teaching of as a man thinks in his heart, it's also in Buddhist teachings that emphasize the calm mind at the heart or the root of creation. And there's lots of stories and parables out there that talk about our heartfelt emotion and how that develops who we are as a person. Thomas Edison kind of harnessed that power too. He had probably more failures from our perspective than a lot of people did. Now, he could have thought, I'll never succeed, but instead he chose to believe, you know what, each failure teaches me something. And this thought drove his choices by giving him new designs. It drove his behaviors so that he was testing always testing. And it gave him new experiences, like inventing the light bulb. And it gave him more emotion, success, triumph, feels good. This all came from, there was a book printed back in 1910 about quotes from Edison and his life and all that. That's where I got this from. But Edison's focus planted the thought in his mind that grew into the reality, much like the quantum field response that we talked about probably, I think, in session 5 or 6. But I also like what Henry Ford says. He was an American industrialist, a business magnate. We know him from the Ford company with the cars, right? But what he said, if you believe you can or can't, you're right. And basically, he was just indicating your thoughts are also the starting point, right? That shape what you see and what you create. And a single thought holds that much power in your life. So knowing the power of a single thought, I'm wondering, what are we going to do with it, right? So I talked about challenging our thoughts. I talked about putting them up and really looking at them, turning them around, Um, not all of our thoughts serve us equally. Obviously, we know that. And some of them don't serve us at all. But limiting beliefs, which are beliefs that put limits on us, like thinking, I'm not enough or I'll never succeed. Some of us may remember Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It'll never happen. It'll never work. He was just always down, and just really not, the glass is always half empty kind of a thing, right? But those kind of thoughts act like weeds choking out the potential for us to put good seed in and grow it into, a harvest. Uh, they act like weeds. They choke out our potential. Where in questioning, we need to do some critical thinking, because critical thinking is going to urge us to question the assumptions and the biases that lock us into these negative belief systems or these negative patterns. There's a online critical community, critical thinking community that emphasizes open-mindedness in their inquiries. I mean, looking at things objectively and say, you know what, is this thought a clear thought? Is what I'm believing, is this belief, is it logical? I mean, does it make sense? Is it even true? I mean, how can I decide whether it's true, right? And asking questions like this about what we believe helps to free us from these self-imposed limitations that we have and that we can now look at. There's a young lady named Maya Angelou. She mastered this. She was born into poverty and trauma, and she didn't accept that at all. And she started with new thoughts like, instead of I'm unworthy, she started questioning those thoughts that she had, and she started writing poetry that reframed her reality into the thoughts like, I am a phenomenal woman. And that thought in particular, sparked choices for her, which moved her into the publishing arena. It gave her new behaviors of speaking out, talking to people about her life and what happened to her and how she could rise above it. It gave her new experiences. I mean, it literally gave her global acclaim because of what she was writing, right? New emotions, right? Empowerment. That's powerful. That was all from a book that she had written back in 1978. Her critical thinking actually dismantled the biases that were looking only for evidence of failure in her life, right? Which cleared the field, in a sense, for planting the seeds of her possibility and potential, and she took care of that in good time. There's also a lot of us have probably heard about Tao or Taoist wisdom. It supports this as well, teaching that questioning clears the mind, and it's kind of like the way they explain it is like water settling, and it's not churning and rough, but it's calm, and it helps you to get a better grip on what you're actually thinking. So to question your thoughts, we simply ask, what evidence supports these thoughts that I have? Or what's another way to look at this? What's another perspective for this belief? For example, if you think, like I used to, I'm too old to start over, and there's a lot of folks that think that, challenge it. Get perspectives from other. Look at Edison. Edison invented at 40 years old. Angela, she wrote at 50. I started writing at 60. Why not you? Why not you? Question what it is you're doing. Question what it is you believe, and start to reframe those beliefs, because doing that shifts your state of being. I mean, that's man, if you can get into how to do this, how to shift it, that's shifting your state is like planting new seeds, as it were, right? This is to say that by questioning what we believe and getting a new perspective on that, it allows us to shift our state into a more positive state. It means intentionally changing our inner emotional, mental, and even our energetic condition to align with the desired mindset or the state of being that we want to, the way that we want to exist, how we want to feel, and how we want to think. It's about moving from one way of feeling to another way of feeling or perceiving. say stress, fear, or just running on autopilot to a more intentional state like calm, confidence, or having a presence, which comes from kind of reshifting your state a bit. And this whole concept is strongly tied to personal growth, mindfulness, spiritual practices. Um, and in all of these, you consciously choose how you experience and respond to the things that you have coming at you from life. Or, as I say often, we often have life come at us when we got other things planned. But if you watch what you got coming into you and you question it and you reframe it in a positive sense, then everything's going to start to become a little more easy for you. And you're going to start to recognize that you're changing your state into something much more positive. In doing all of this, we're able to choose how to experience and how to respond to life, like recognizing our unconscious habits or our patterns, like maybe we've got fear of the unknown or something like that. Choosing to adopt a new perspective, perhaps. Emotionally, we do this by moving from anxiety to gratitude, by focusing on what's going well. Mentally, we do this by shifting from self-doubt to empowerment, by reframing negative thoughts. And energetically, I think I also mentioned we do this by choosing to feel vibrant and open instead of stuck or dulled down, perhaps through practices like meditation or breath work. Those are great ways to shift your state of being. So how do you do that? First and foremost, you do it through being awareness. A lot of people equate that to being in the present, being in the now, being aware and noticing what current state you're in. Do you feel stuck, for instance, right? The intention is decide how you want to feel. Well, if you feel stuck, on the other side of that, because we live in a polarity, a contrast, right? The opposite of feeling stuck, it's feeling free and curious and able, and that's how you want to feel. So then you tie an action to that, and that action is using tools like deep breathing, like affirmations, or visualizing the state that you want to be in to make that shift. Um, man, honestly, visualizing is an excellent way to really change, but it takes a little bit of work. We've kind of been dulled down by society and what we've taught, and our powers of visualization and concentration, they're not what they were 50 or 60 years ago, to be sure. Also, the environment. Surround yourself with cues, uplifting music. Oh, for years, I listened to nothing but contemporary Christian music because the music was uplifting and it was always a good message. Always. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't turn the radio on. I mean, that was all I listened to because I had so much garbage in my head I was trying to get rid of, and everything for a season, as they say, and I still listen to music, but just not as much. Now, the shift that you're looking for isn't about temporary feelings either. It's about embodying a new way of being that shapes the actions and our outlook. Now, for instance, embracing the unknown, it can be seen as an opportunity for self-discovery, and it can transform fear into excitement, fundamentally altering how we approach life. Now, there's a guy named Daryl Anka that he channels a guy or a group or something called Bashar, that he says circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. And that was published in a book in 2013. Now, Heart Math Institute, that I quote quite a bit in the book, they show research that shows questioning negative thoughts with curiosity. I mean, it's easy to be curious, right? Doing that creates heart-brain coherence, and that serves to enhance our clarity of mind. That was printed in a book back in, I think it was actually a peer-reviewed study that was done in 1995. So putting all this together, what we're doing here is planting what I termed as a thought seed. Remember, you're like a gardener, right? And your mind, and choosing the plants to plant and to nurture, to pay attention to give energy to, because our mind is like a garden, and our focus, what we focus on, the attention that we place there, that's like the sunlight coming in to make those seeds grow. Wherever you put your energy and your focus, that's where the growth is. That amplifies whatever you're at. So if you're amplifying good thoughts, great, life is okay. But if you're looking at doubts and negativity and things like that, that's what's gonna grow. You don't want to do that. Have you ever noticed how focusing on a worry makes it just, oh man, pulls you down, just seems to be a lot bigger? Or zero, how when you start to focus on a new goal and zero in on it, how it starts sparking new ideas, starts getting something, start getting your juices flow, as I say, your creative juices flowing. That's your attention at work. It's deciding which roots are being nurtured, which thoughts are going to take root, even. And as we talk about later, neuroscience talks about this by saying that there's a RAS, reticular activating system that we have that acts like a spotlight, and it filters what you notice based on where you look. So think of your think of your mind like a flashlight, and wherever you look and what you notice, it lights it up. And when you light that thing up, right, when you show when your mind is zeroing in on it, it actually highlights and amplifies whatever you're looking at. If it's kind of like a spotlight, in doing that, what I'm saying is it's filtering what you notice based on what you're noticing. And this, a lot of your folks probably you remember Tony Robbins. He wrote a book about this in 2001. That so in essence, what I'm saying is when you think of things like I'm capable, suddenly you start spotting opportunities everywhere that indicate, yeah, I'm capable, because that's what you're looking at. Have you remember the what was it? Oh man, my mind just went blank. The double slit experiment that showed quantumly that what you focus on affects what you're focusing on. That's what they're saying here. When you think things like I'm capable, suddenly your mind's going, whoa, I'm capable. I need to look for things that show me how capable I am. And that's what you start seeing. Anyway, spiritually, this echoes the same kind of wisdom that says, where attention goes, energy flows. And this is a truth that's found in a lot of traditions, from Taoism to modern mindfulness. I remember, man, there was a tough day when I used to, I'd focus on gratitude right in the middle of some stressful events, just because, man, it hurt to be there. So I'd pick out one little. It's tough to do when you're in the middle of a hard event. It's hard to single out one good thing. But if you think about one good thing in the middle of that event, about 17 seconds later, another one's going to pop up, then another one. Next thing you know, you have shifted your whole business there, right? And I remember specifically what that was, and several hours later, a solution just popped up out of nowhere. And it really showed me that my attention really does shape our reality moment by moment. You folks should try it. I mean, pick up one positive thought, like I'm growing stronger. Give it a full focus for a few minutes. Notice how it feels. And it's like sunlight coming in on that seed. I talked a little bit ago about exercises and practices. There's a mini exercise. It's called the attention spotlight. Now, just find a quiet space, take in 3 good deep breaths and let them out easy. Choose a positive thought, anyone. Like, I'm confident. For 5 minutes, focus on that thought, picture it, feel it, say it softly to yourself, listen to it as you say it. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Just whatever it wanders to, acknowledge it and go, okay, look at it objectively. Okay, you're a good thought, but don't want you here right now. Go right back to it. After a while, your mind will stop wandering like that, and you'll be able to focus a lot more. Write it down. Write down, what you noticed. Write down how you felt. Did it feel stronger? Did new ideas pop up? Write them down. If you try this daily for a week, you're going to watch that that seed, the one that I use was I'm confident, you're going to see yourself and feel yourself become so much more confident. And that'll work with any positive thought you put in there to do that with. There's also, we'll talk about Abraham Hicks back 3 or 4 chapters from now, I guess, or sessions, that says, when you align your with your desires, she calls it vibration, and it flows to you. When you align with your desire, in other words, when you can match your desire's frequency, in other words, if you've got something, if you're not feeling real happy, but you want to be happy, if you think about the desire of being happy and what that means and what that feels like, it's going to draw that to you and you will become happy. I mean, relax. Like me, you're probably not going to, it ain't going to happen first time out of the gate. But that's a gold nugget, that changing or imagining how you want to feel as if you do feel that way will actually make you feel that way. It's kind of weird. So even if you aren't sure about how to do the whole alignment thing, the 17-second thing can be a good place to start. I mean, often just being grateful, feeling appreciation is enough to get the ball rolling. And this session's exercise can help you plant that seed. And it uses critical thinking to help clear out your weeds, to grant for gratitude and for nurturing growth and setting the stage for our next session. In the practical exercise, it's called it's a thought seed starter. And the first thing you want to do is just kind of get calm, find a cozy, quiet spot, take in 5 deep breaths. And I like to tell folks, during these exercises, make the exhales you have longer than the inhales. That is a very simple science-backed way to calm your mind down in a hurry up. I mean, it works really fast. Next thing we want to do is spot the negative thought. Write down the one thought that holds you back, like nobody cares what I think. I mean, that was mine several years ago, right? Challenge it. Ask yourself, is this really true? What proof do I have? Can I look at this or see this differently? Then you write a new positive thought that counteracts it. All right, write that back down. Like there's value in what I think, and lots of people can benefit from it. And go with that thought and start thinking about that thought. Picture it growing. Imagine your new thought like it was a tiny seed in your brain. See it sprouting, see it growing strong. Picture it yourself, right? Picture yourself succeeding and feeling more confident. And do this for a couple of minutes, just soaking in this image, feeling grateful as if it's already happening. Dr. Joe Dispenza, man, this guy, he is really big on this whole as if concept. See it as if it's already there. And biblically speaking, it's sound, or even Jesus said, hey, when you pray as if you've already got it and you're going to get it. I mean, it's a sound concept, and it's in many, many cultures. Say it, write it, speak it out loud. Hey, I'm so grateful for my growing strength. Write it down, right? Put this new thought somewhere that you're going to see it every day. I mean, really get it into your head, because when you do that, it's going to change you from the inside out, because our words have power. Now, I hope you see in one of these steps in this exercise is to speak the words out loud and to write them. Our words, spoken or written, are actually kind of like magic wands, if you will, because they shape reality with their vibrational power. The law of one introduces a concept that's called logos as the original thought. I know the Bible in translations talks about the word and logos as the original word, the word of God. And it talks about that original thought from which all other creation emanates, right? And it suggests that thought, and by extension our words as articulated through thought, have a fundamental role in shaping our reality, right? And the creator's awareness and focus, expressed as intelligent infinity, transforms all this into a conscious creative force. And I know that was a lot of big words. It basically says that our words have power to create things in our lives if we will take them seriously and dwell on them in the right way. Consequently, religious teachings across various traditions also emphasize the power of the spoken word, highlighting its ability to create and destroy. That's important. That's just like your beliefs. Whatever you focus on, that's what you're amplifying on. Whatever you spend your time thinking about, that's what's going to get drawn to you. So if you think about negative things, guess what you got coming back at you? Negative things. Biblically, that's you reap what you sow. You know, if you're sowing bad thoughts, you're going to reap bad things. That's you're not going to get a pear from a strawberry bush. It doesn't work that way. So anyway, all of this stuff comes from that. In quantum physics, law of attraction, the words carry unique frequencies. They all ripple out through the universe and align with your desires. Dr. Dispenza has a book. He teaches all this stuff. Spoken words send sound waves vibrating at specific pitches. They're like prayers or affirmations that resonate with specific frequencies in the unified field, right? The field of potential. Written words, meanwhile, which is why I say write these things down, they hold energetic imprints that anchor your thoughts into the physical form. And that's taught by Greg Braden. Wonderful guy, wonderful guy. He put a book out in 2005, talks about this. And as such, writing these things down transforms our thoughts into concrete objects of conscious reflection, stuff that we think about and is in our head, right? And that allows us to better internalize and understanding what we're trying to get at. And that influences our behaviors. There's an example that I love about this. There's a guy named Jim Carrey. He's an actor. You guys got to know who he is. He did The Mask and a whole bunch of other things. He did an interview with Oprah in 1997 and basically said he wrote himself a $10 million check and stuck it in his wallet. We can be like his story where he took that check and he was signaling his subconscious and his body that my dream for earning this much money is real, and I got the check to prove it. And he always looked at that check and said, the money's coming, it's on the way. And that kind of really acted like a bridge. It bridged his mind language of thought and the body's language of action, amplifying those electromagnetic waves of thought and emotion. Again, there's a big thing about that in the Lost Gospel of Thomas that Braden talks about. But writing it all out, getting back to writing, as in our focus loop exercises, that's what you want to be doing with these things because you want to keep them. Our words become a catalyst. They emit that coherent signal to the quantum field and it draws things in faster. In Proverbs, again, as a man thinks in his heart, right? Speak, write these dreams out that you've got, craft them. Your thoughts are the foundation of your reality. I'm going to stop there because I'm just kind of rambling now, but it's all important. I did send a song that was written. I'm hoping that Kumaran's going to be able to play, and it embodies the theme of this particular session. And even if you just read the words, you'll understand it and get what's going on. So I appreciate you guys letting me talk today. Next month we'll be back with some other stuff. And if anybody has any questions, email me, hit me up on WhatsApp. If you don't have my addresses, get with Jeannie or Mabel or Deb McCormick or anybody that's got it. I'd be happy to work with you and we can have some fun with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Jeffrey. Thank you for sharing. And we really, really want to appreciate Brother Jeffrey. And he has created that PDF for us where we can do our mini thoughts exercise. And also the part 2 is the practical exercise, the thought seed starter. So he has taken the time and written it all out for us. So please click on the PDF in our group and take a look and do try and practice. Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Jeffrey. Thank you. Okay, we have Brother John. Brother John,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jeannie. I want
welcome.
to thank Jeffrey, as usual, for a terrific presentation and just the start of what he's going to be doing for us from week to week. And so I just comment on today a little bit in listening. I'm already, well, I mentioned to you folks that I have some situations or challenges going on in my life right now. And so in listening, Jeffrey here, I'm already kind of doing some of these things, not necessarily specifically the method that he just showed us, which Jeannie says the little PDF is available to us if you make sure that you join our group if you haven't already, if you're not in our group in WhatsApp, and you can actually apply this and work on it. Now, like I say myself, I tend to be somebody that I don't say looks at the glass as it's half empty, not half full. And so I work on this all the time. Exactly what Jeffrey's talking about, to get my mind and my heart. What's in your heart is what you are, who you are. And well, you know, I say I'm the Tin Man. Tin Man discovers his heart and all that. And actually, in my life, I actually work on that. Even though I say I played the Tin Man, well, I actually try to do that. I try to have my heart in the right place. I try to think and put my mind in the right place with everything that Jeffrey was talking about. And I don't need to reiterate all that stuff. You know, I don't like to do that when I come on and comment. But I'm just saying that I am doing this, and I'm going to specifically do his little exercise. I'm kind of doing it on my own. But, you know, I tend to do things when I need to, instead of what he's saying, how to take the deep breaths and relax and then think. I tend to do it from a position of anxiety, because I have anxiety. So what this will help me do is don't think to try to look for the positive solution or get you there in this anxious feeling and mood, because you need to be calm and relaxed to get. And so without going into it in detail, listen to what Jeffrey said there. Let's look at that PDF, get that little exercise on how we could do it, and you'll be able to get your mind thinking in the right place, to get positive, to be positive in where you're going with whatever it is you're dealing with. So that's all I'm going to say. And thank you, Jeffrey. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother John. Thank you for sharing. And next, we have Sister Melanie. Over to you, Sister Melanie. You are muted. Please unmute yourself. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my little cell phone, always looking for the mic. Thank you, Jeffrey, for everything that you have brought. You know, I'm always thinking that way. Sometimes we get in a negative mood, but I always try to rise above it as often as I can. It's funny you brought out the parable of the sower. Yesterday it came to mind, and I'm saying I am gonna tell the group that, you know, that the little group that we are in, I'm gonna talk about it because it is a good lesson for us, you know. I like the one where it shows the good soil, although it's not always the good soil that I'm on, I think. The good soil does not happen by accident. With the good soil, it takes a lot. It's intentionally good because we have to be creating a space for silence, a space for reflection and humility as well, and we take action from there. So when we nurture those little things, that's when we grow, and that's when our thoughts become stronger. You know, our thoughts speak to us, and then that's how we grow from there. So the good soil is always a good thing, but sometimes I personally find myself on rocky soil, and it's not a good place because I know that vultures can come and they can eat away from that rocky soil. They can sweep me away, but we have to be vigilant at that point. You know, I'm always leery of that. And I'm thinking our thoughts is always our inner world, because inside of us is built many thoughts, lots of thoughts, negative, positive. Sometimes we let the negative overtake our positive. But as you said, Jeffrey, like things like the songs that you put on every day, that's what I do while I work or even when I'm at home doing my chores when I'm off. I first thing in the morning is put on the songs of faith, and it helps me. You know, sometimes if one really trigger me, I will stop and I'll sing along or even dance along if I can. So those things really do change your mindset. It really helps your mood, and it really helps change, you know, the way you think and the way you act, you know. And with the inner world in me, my inner world, my thoughts, you know, I just have to be vigilant again, practicing my mindfulness, what I say, because what I say or what we say, it goes out to the universe. They say what you give to the universe, what you feed it, you get it back, whether it's negative or positive. I find when I say the positive things, I feel more energetic. I feel more wanting to do things that I have set aside for a while. And I feel more wanting to just continue on, you know, regardless, you know? And those things that you talk about, it resonates because I love positivity. Like I said, although I find myself kind of drowning a little, but I try to keep my head up as much as I can. I try to speak negative to people. I mean, sorry, no, not negative, positive to people when there's negative atmosphere, you know? Because when we are around surrounding things that are negative, it can cause all of us to be in a negative mode, and it's not a good thing. So it's someone has to bring out the positive so everybody can say, you know what, I never thought of that, I never felt like that. So Jeffrey, whatever you said to us today, it resonates with me, and I thank you for the lines that you brought out, for the things that you spoke about. And it's true, what we give out positively, we get it back positively. What we give out negatively, it sinks us. So we really have to be leery and thoughtful of what, you know, our thoughts, and just continue on. We didn't give ourselves lives. We have to think there's a higher power, and we have to give it our best, and he's the one who propels us. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you again for giving me that time. Mabel, Jeannie, John, and Jeffrey even, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Melanie. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you. Do we have anyone here who would like to share? Brother Kumaran, you want to share something? No? Okay. Sister Debbie. Okay, your hand is up. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sister Jenny. Good morning. Brother Jeffrey, I just want to thank you for all you do to support and sharing your thoughts. This is the first chapter of your book. We're really grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm just absorbing it, making my notes so I can go back to it and refer to what you're sharing, and I can apply it in my daily life. And this bringing the story of Maya Angelou, it's just amazing to know what she went through, and there's several Mayas out there, and I hope your sharing will help those Mayas out there to look in a positive, look into their minds and react positively to whatever situations they find themselves in. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you, Sister Debbie. Thank you. Okay, so if not, then we would like to call it the night. But before we do that, Brother Jeffrey, would you like to close us for the night?
Well, actually, I'd like to play a song for you if possible.
Okay, sure.
Oh, Kumaran, you got that? Cool.
Yeah, Kumaran's bringing it up. Kumaran's bringing it up, I think.
This one's a little fast paced. You might enjoy it.
quiet of the night, when the world feels still, thoughts begin to wander, going where they will. Like seeds stretching out, beliefs look for the light, taking root from the whispers of our dreams each night. Every story we tell and the fear that we face shapes how we see life, it's all interlaced. Fear's just a thing that keeps us restrained. Its negative effect leaves our spirit drained. But with every intention, each wick displays an energy lifts us, then sends us to space. Mindfulness gathered, the way is made plain, to find in the silence our healing domain. So let's tend the garden where buds one day bloom, pull weeds of doubt to give the flowers more room. Emotions and thoughts like words of a song can fill you with faith, so we know you belong. So reframe your thoughts to let confidence flow, then nurture them always. Love the seeds that you sow. Deep roots of streams, keep them steady through storms. Their strength guides your heart as each new vision forms. So plant with intention the beliefs in your mind. With every new one you make, a dream gets refined. Your change is born in word, we garner new sight. As each seed you nurture turns darkness to light. So let's tend the garden with buds none they bloom, pull weeds of doubt to give the flowers more room. Emotion and thoughts like words of a song can fill you with space, say you know you belong. So reframe your thoughts to let confidence flow, then nurture them always. Love the seeds that you sow. The clouds of distraction will try to confine, but the sun of truth looks for base to shine. A parable of seeds plants hope in the mind, so thoughts become things causing dreams align. 'Cause the garden of wisdom, where peace starts to grow, begins with your love and the seeds that you sow. So let's tend the garden where buds one day bloom, through weeds of doubt to give the flowers more room. Emotion and thoughts like words of a song that fills you with faith, so you know you belong. So refrain your thought, heal the confidence soul, then nurture them always. Love the seeds that you sow. Emotions and thoughts are like words of a song to fill us with faith, so we know we belong. So refrain your thoughts, so let confidence flow, then nurture them always. Love the seeds that you sow.
Wow, beautiful song. Thank you so much, Brother Jeffrey. I shall learn that song. Thank you.
You're very welcome. The words are the theme to the session today, and that's what's important, just to keep, John, like you said, there's lots of different ways to do it, but doing it through anxiety, man, that's no way to do it. You're right. You need to get calm. And when I talk about taking deep breaths in, there's a science-backed reason for doing that, because we have what's called the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. When you breathe in and then you exhale longer than your inhale from your belly, not your chest, from your belly, then that puts you out of fight and flight. That puts you into the parasympathetic nervous system that calms everything down. And that's why you want to do it, so that you can focus on the good things. So that's all. You guys have a great day.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Jeffrey. So for everybody's information, Brother Jeffrey will be with us twice in every month. So he'll be sharing the next session that Brother Jeffrey will be sharing will be his chapter 2, and that will be Crafting Futures with Imagination. So do come visit us again when Brother Jeffrey is back. Thank you, Brother Jeffrey. Thank you so much for your time and your dedication to this work, and for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. And A very good day and good night to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you
Bye-bye,
again.
everybody.
Thank you.